Well, if I've said it once since the end of the game, I've said this will be the fifth or sixth time that I'm incredibly disappointed in a lot of things. Obviously, the scoreboard is probably the most notable, and to not find a way to put points on the board will never give us a chance. So we know we have to find a way to be able to do that, and we got to get a hell of a lot better at it. And but there are some bright spots. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat things, or you can ask all the questions you need to ask. But I just want to mention a few things that we got it handed to us today in all areas. To be honest with you, I thought special teams wise we did a damn good job. But there's some notable guys that we need to continue to build around. And a guy like Christian Allegro, who, in case you're wondering, broke his arm in the first quarter. They took him in, X-rayed it. I don't know, one of the owner or whatever of bone in his arm. He casted it up, and they said he can try to play if he wants. And I think he played every snap from there on out. Came back at halftime, casted it up even bigger, went back out and played the entire second half because he cares, because he's not going to let his brothers down. Guys like Mason Posta, some young guys, Mason Posta, Cooper Catalano, battled their asses off. Young guys, freshmen, been thrown out there against, yes, it's the number one team in the country, but I'll be honest with you, that's I think is collectively as good a team as I've prepared for or played against in all phases, just across the board, the way they play offensively and defensively and special teams as well, on top of the talent that they have. And to see some of those guys compete and not bat an eye, I think that's what we're going to have to continue to build around. Like I said, there's glaring things. I'm going to let you ask those questions, but I'm going to tell you the things that, at least walking out of there, that I know I'm going to continue to build around. And there's no quit in me. That's what I told him after the game. And the most important thing is that there's no quit in that locker room on each other. So whatever's going to happen is going to happen, but that doesn't change what it is that we have to do and they have to do. And I think that there's a nucleus of young guys. There's a nucleus of guys that are incredibly disappointed as well, that are going to continue to drive this culture as we find ways to get better and find ways to win football games. Okay, Jim.
You hit on this in your opening, but how do you sell hope to this team if you can't score and you can't really move the ball effectively? How do you convince them they're going to go out and compete and win a game?
Well, you have to show it. That's the hard part, right? They see the zero on the scoreboard too, and you go back to work and you go out there on Tuesday and you got to find some positives. You got to show some positives, and you just got to trust each other. And it's not easy, but this isn't an easy game, and it's sure as hell not easy when you're trying to figure out who your quarterback is and you're bouncing back and forth. And but hope is one of those things that you got to find from within. It's not easy for the guys and the people outside maybe to find it and see it. But I'll tell you this: the guys in the locker room, it's different. They trust each other. They believe in each other. It's hardest when all of a sudden, like the second series, when the ball gets tipped and they catch it again, an interception. That's when all of a sudden you just look in the eyes to see, is there a loss of hope? Does it look like, is somebody going to be like, oh my gosh, this is like last week? And what gives me hope is no, I didn't see that. I didn't see that from the defensive guys. They're the ones that had to take the field. I walked over to the offensive guys and tried to look in their eyes, and I'm just honest with you. I didn't see it. And so, like I said, it's a hell of a lot harder for you guys to see some hope when you see zero on the scoreboard. I think these guys that are in it on an everyday basis see something a hell of a lot different.
Like you mentioned last week or on Monday that there was going to be competition at the quarterback spot. What was it about Hunter's play throughout the week that made him?
No, there's a consistency. There's a level of things that that we need to be able to do that we feel like gives us the better opportunity to move the football. And look, that's I think the top rated defense in the country. And I'm not taking away that we didn't score points, and I'm not taking away that I don't know how many yards we had before the last series, 60 some yards. As we went into it, there was things that we knew we had to be able to spread the thing out. We had to be able to throw the ball in some of those short passes like we did in the second series that got picked off. And so all of a sudden you get into one of those things and Now you got to kind of revert back a little bit because, again, you don't want guys to lose hope. You got to find ways to, okay, we got to generate something before we go back to that. But really, I thought that's what Hunter gave us as we competed and battled throughout the beginning of the week. And that's the direction we had to go.
As far as physically, a lot of guys got banged up today physically. I guess I'm wondering, how do you feel? I mean, you got this big challenge ahead of you. How do you feel about where your guys are?
Well, I don't know where they are right now. As we ended the game, I'm not sure who we still had. I know Rico went down there at the very end. I told you about Christian, who obviously went back in there and played. I can't even remember. We had both tailbacks go down. I think we were down to one tailback or both Yak and Dylan went down. Dylan did not come back. Yak came back. There was quite a few things that continued to happen. Trainer went down, so that took us out of a package defensively that we kind of knew we were thin at, but it was a package on the third down that he was a big part of. So when he went down, that kind of took us out of that as well. And that's what I mean. That's where you know, to the outside looking in, all of a sudden it's like, do they have hope? And then all of a sudden you get a guy like Mason Post that gets thrown in there to play will linebacker, and he'd been playing star linebacker all week, and he goes out there and plays pretty darn well in the opportunities he had. And so I don't know who we have. I won't be able to tell you probably when we have a press conference on Monday. But there were a few more dudes that went down today, and some other guys had to step up. I mean, I think we're out there with two freshman corners against probably the best wide receiver crew that I've seen. Maybe when we played LSU a few years ago, and you got freshman corners that are having to go battle and compete against those guys.
Back to the quarterbacks a little bit. We saw Billy on the field before the game. Didn't warm up as he had in previous weeks. Is there a decision
No.
there yet? Okay.
No, we don't know. I think we're trying to figure out maybe we're doing too much before, like he goes out there and does as much as he can on Saturday. Then on Sunday he's a little bit sore. It's like, well, is this, kind of the insanity thing of continue to do the same thing over and over again and hoping and expecting to get different results. So I think we kind of backed him off this week and to see, hopefully he feels a hell of a lot better come Sunday, Monday, and then we'll see where we are.
I think kind of to follow up on that, Danny, played just a couple of snaps this week and against Michigan. We're in the red shirt now. Was that just trying to get a spark, or how does that kind of?
Well, Hunter went down a little bit, so I don't know exactly where Hunter was at that moment. We knew we were playing Danny. Look, we're not sitting here trying to hold guys as red shirts. I think that, in the midst of where you are and what you're doing, that's what I love. I mean, I'll be honest with you. That's where, when you ask, do guys lose hope? Well, if a guy lost hope, then he wouldn't go in. He would say, I want a red shirt, because you see it all across the country. And that's one of those things that you don't see, right? I mean, you don't see, Christian Allegro saying, well, hold on now, I'm a little bit dinged up. This isn't going well. I'm gonna sit. So if you want to know where the hope is, it's in guys like that. It's in guys that aren't worried about where they play 4 games and now they can't redshirt. And, who knows what the future holds, right? I mean, at some point in time, it's going to go to a 5-year, and we don't need to get onto that. But where we are now is sure as hell not going to be the same thing.
Jake, so looking at Sean West of the
Yeah.
punting back this
Well,
week.
yeah, I should. I'm sorry I didn't bring up that. And a young guy too. That what an incredible job he did today. So go ahead and ask the question.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, what was, is it always been a punting battle between Atticus and Sean? And what led to Sean?
I don't know that it was a battle. Again, Sean has just shown us over and over and over again on a consistent basis that he's got a really, really good leg. And, as Sean was young, even last year and the beginning of this year, the one thing about it, his bads were kind of bad. His goods were really good, but the consistency just wasn't there. And then where we were with Addy the last few weeks and some things, we just, kind of this week said, hey, I think that there's an opportunity for us here to go with Sean and give him a chance. And I mean, there's another, we won't say bright spot, but a guy that I don't know what he had him. Sometimes I worry because he had some 65 yards at times that we got to do a better job at covering him. But yeah, the play that he made, we were talking about some things. Obviously, we needed to try to find ways to spark it. That was not something that was called. We were talking about something very similar, but it's a case of a guy making a play. And then, to be honest with you, I was still hoping he maybe would punt that thing as he started running because there was 15 yards to go. And he beat two of their better players, on the run. So there's a bright spot in a kid that's dying to be here.
You're talking about hope being easier internally than it is externally. What do you say to a lot of those fans? And you've seen it with the NPCs too.
What can I say? Like, look, man, you love these kids, and you hopefully you can see the fight that's still in them, and you want to see better. I want to see better. There's a disappointment inside that locker room, but it's not from a lack of guys that are trying to put the product on the field and represent the W the way the W is supposed to be represented. And that's, if that's not good enough, that's not good enough. When we win games, they'll come back, and that's our job. So I know that it's disappointing to our kids, but it's also can be motivating as well. And that's what we got to continue to find is the ways to motivate us intrinsically that puts a better product out there, so we don't have to worry about things like that.
Call right there. Thanks, Colton. We'll make sure we get our.
Colton, did you have one?
Yeah, I just have one.
Oh, sorry, Colton.
It's unfair to ask you now, but it's
No,
got
it's fine.
some traction online. Dave Bugler from the Athletic said that you have been shutting out NFL scouts from practices. Is that true, and if so, why?
No, we have NFL scouts there almost every single day. I think that at 1 week we kind of said, look, on Wednesdays let's don't have a slew of guys. But no, they're in the building. They're able to ask. Maybe they can't watch the whole practice on a Wednesday, I think. But my goodness, we don't even have much of a restriction. I think there was a week, but other than that, no, I think we've got other things to worry about. To get into some Bill Belichick type of scouting situation. That's the least of our worries. But no, they can ask all questions and visit with too many people at times, but they're more welcome.